Alright guys, welcome. We are covering Gang of the Dragon Worlds. This game feels like a weird Yakuza-esque game. I don't know if it's the same people. I really don't know, but from everything I see from this game, it actually looks pretty cool. So anyways, let's check it out. The guy has a mask. That's hilarious.
Motherfucker.
Bro, that is so funny. And like downright, it's kind of cool. Like the idea, it's a great way to start a trailer. Like, this is our character. He got stabbed and he doesn't care. That is pretty cool. Like this guy, when just looking at him, he doesn't have main character energy, but the way they sell him, it's really main character energy, dude. Like, they did a great job. They really did a good job here. So, this is what happens when you actually hire people who are competent at what they do. They can turn a nobody into a freaking main character, all right? This is something, you know, I've spoken about a lot on storytelling and how do you craft a proper character and just a proper narrative and all that stuff. What's the right mindset? What's the right nuance? The thing I've said many times over and over again is that there is no such thing as creating a great storyteller. A great storyteller just arrives. And a great storyteller is made, all right? Or, well, yeah. What was it? I said, well, yeah, they're not, a great storyteller is not curated, they are born, is how I've put it. A great storyteller understands exactly what it is that people are looking for, exactly what it is that gets the mind running, and a great storyteller, a great writer, whatever, they understand the things that are immediately gripping. And they understand how to take anything. You know, they can make an entire story about a toothbrush and you're gripped or it's moving somehow, some way. Okay? They understand basic fundamental psychological principles. 1 second. They understand these underlying psychological principles that moves human psychology, that moves the mind, that actually gets it running, that drives it towards inspiration, aspiration, that makes you wish for honor, that makes you wish for vengeance, that makes you wish for idealism. And there's some other things, deeper nuances, right? There's ways to wield just about anything in proper storytelling, including disgust. But of course, nowadays we've completely contorted and perverted disgust. But disgust can be a very powerful conceptual tool to be utilized in a narrative. Disgust is very powerful and it's very effective and it's very good in a great story. Disgust can really move the viewer, it can move anyone, it can move the writer themselves. Disgust is very powerful, but you have to know what you're doing. And if you're bad at what you're doing, then it's not going to be moving, it's not going to be influential, it's not going to be effective, and instead it's going to simply disgust you, and it's not going to have an actual productive effect that you want to deliver through a proper story. So anyways, right there, that was a great way to start and open this. And as I've said, again, you know, a great storyteller, a great writer is never curated, they are born. Or of course, you know, again, they're made. You could also say they're made. And I mean that in the sense that they're born. But what happens when you have a proper writer, a proper storyteller, is that they also understand how to make any dialogue line work. This is a huge thing. A lot of people who are bogus writers, and there's many of them, a lot of them. A lot of people who are not worth their salt. They don't understand how to make a scene work. They don't understand how to make dialogue work. And the whole thing is that, well, there is no way to make it work. You're either the person that can make it work or you can't, okay? A great writer, you can give them a dog filth scene. It's like, how the frick do you make this work? And it's like, you just throw it at their lap and they know how to make all the characters work, how to make their freaking dialogue functional, how to make it effective, how to make it convincing. They know how to do all of it. And it's not what most people think of, by the way. Most people are pretentious dipshits. I'm sorry, they're goyim. A lot of people are just pretentious losers, and they think they know what works and what doesn't work. They're completely full of themselves, and they have no business being in the conversation. But outside of a bunch of retards who think that they should speak their mind, a great writer, a great storyteller, they understand how to pick up anything and make exactly what's not working, how to make it work. And that's why there are great storytellers. You know, J.R.R. Tolkien, right? I could throw him out as an example. And I have my criticisms and my critiques about Tolkien, but in the end, you know, he's obviously a great storyteller, regardless of my gripes. And there's a lot of great storytellers out there that I might or might not have gripes with, or just little nitpicks. But regardless, they understand how to turn, you know, the Shire and the start of the book and all that, the start of the whole story could be very boring and just like, why is anyone here? Why do we care about this? And what I've said many times in the past is that a great storyteller, they know how to make you care. They know how to grab a random nobody character, Frodo Baggins, and make you care. They know how to grab some random old dude, Gandalf, and make you care. They know how to grab anything and make you care because they understand the fundamental premise of value. A lot of these modern day writers, a lot of millennials who are now making a bunch of fiction and they suck at what they do. They're absolute dog filth. Our media is super dead right now. It is omega dead. It has been just butchered alive. And the reason why is because we've hired a bunch of millennials and they suck at their job. And a lot of them are also women outside of that. But, you know, millennials in general are just retarded. And even millennials, they hate themselves. It's a generation that nobody liked. And it's because they're the most liberal generation that probably existed. You know, there's all the other generations and they're pretty liberal, but, you know, it's the millennials that were the most open borders. They were the most, they all wanted to be activists and annoying, and they wanted to be feminists and they wanted to be atheists. And it was just this huge eruption of liberal thought and zeitgeist that nobody liked. And they were just super annoying clowns that annoyed absolutely everybody. So anyways, it's the millennials that have been writing a lot of stuff that's been coming out lately, and it's all sucked. You know, I can go down a very long list, but you know, you can just go check out all of my reviews on the channel. That's the list. But and also pretty much all of the game trailers I've reacted to, that's also the case. But anyway, you know, we've got a lot of these clowns that are making everything nowadays. And it's not just millennials, but, you know, every time that a millennial touches anything, they screw it all up. Regardless, when you have a proper writer, a proper storyteller, they know how to make anything work. Tolkien and what he wrote could have been a complete failure. It had no reason to work. He made it work. And you can go down the list of a bunch of other writers. It's like, how do you make any of this stuff work? Well, you got to be the right guy. You got to understand, because when you're writing something, you can go anywhere with anything. You know, it's like, wait, where do I go with the story? Wait, should I do this with the dialogue? Should I do that? Your mind has all these endless probabilities and possibilities. But when you're a proper writer, and again, they're not curated, they're not, I guess you could say they're not made. Well, again, that word is annoying me because I can use it in two different ways. So anyways, they're not curated, right? They're not crafted exactly. They're born. And whenever you have someone that's just born for proper storytelling, They come out and they make anything work, and they make some of the best stuff that we've ever seen. And there's a bunch of great films that are out there. They're not coming out anymore, but there's a bunch of great video games too, and great video game characters and storylines. Like, for instance, Yakuza 0 is probably, I would have to say, it's pretty difficult to say this, but I would definitely probably say it that, okay, this is better to say. Yakuza 0 is one of the masterpieces of all in gaming. In storytelling, Yakuza 0 was terrifically made, terrifically written. You know, the gameplay kind of pissed me off. I didn't really like it. It's very archaic, but outside of that, the storytelling is just top notch. The writing, the characters are top notch. Really, it's one of the hallmarks of gaming for storytelling is Yakuza 0. It was really good, and nothing else really stands to test with it. Now, I feel like the director, the writer for Yakuza 0, I don't think he's really been working on anything recently because everything else with Yakuza sucks. You know, Yakuza Like a Dragon sucked. I hated that game so much. The characters, the story, the writing, all of it. But this game makes me feel like it's the writer of Yakuza 0. I just get that feeling. And also Project Century. I don't know who's working on that, but that game also feels like the writer for Yakuza 0. So it just gives me the same vibes. It gives me the same level of quality and appeal. So far, just the opening of this really works. And then they do a really good job of selling the rest of this random dude who's going to be the character or one of the characters for this game. Whoever it is that's working on this, they know what they're doing. They were born for this. They're capable. And this has no reason to work, but they just knew how to make it work. Because again, they were born for this. And you know, we don't hire enough people who are born for what they're doing. So then everything just turns out like trash. And this is an exception here that I've spotted out personally. Again, this scene right here, terrific. The way it's delivered is terrific. The way that we go with the characters, the atmosphere, the vibe, everything is just, it feels like Yakuza 0. I have no idea if it's the same writer. It feels like him, okay? You know, he loved in Yakuza 0 a lot of these scenes of a guy drinking at a Japanese bar or whatever. He loved doing stuff like this. And there was a lot of great scenes in Yakuza 0 around sitting at a bar, the characters, you know, Gordo or Kiryu. And we're kind of seeing something like that here. So again, it really feels like the same writer, and it's just well made.
Shinji-san, yeah? Time to settle up.
Hey, Daiki, when'd you make it back?
Excuse me, sir. Shut your mouth.
All right, talk soon.
On your feet, now.
Now that is kind of silly, by the way. It feels like he had time to shoot him, right? But I don't think that's the point of the scene. And it's cool anyways. Yeah. I mean, it could have been that he saw that he was kind of bluffing, holding that gun, which, you know, that's a plausible deniability for the writing. So it doesn't matter that much. I'm literally right now, I'm just nitpicking that, just trying to spot out like some kind of error, but even that, you know, it's fine. It's just the way I think. I'm just being overcritical, just trying to see like whatever it is that you could try to spot is to be critiqued, whatever.
Son of a... Fuck it! Just kill him!
So, okay, right there. So their purpose was not to, well, right there. Good. So typically, good writers and storytellers, I forgot about that line in the trailer, but anyways, because I've already seen this. But yeah, typically good storytellers, they know how to cover their bases, their conceptual or psychological bases. And right there, right? Obviously, there was that bluff where he was not willing to kill him initially, and the guy knew. And then there he says, just kill him. So again, it's just small little details like that. And we don't get stuff like this. And like, you can feel the tension actually of this scene, by the way. There's so much, okay, right? You can look at my previous trailer reactions recently where I keep on saying there's no edge, there's no tension, there's nothing of threat in the relationships, in the dialogue, in the people. Just nothing feels real. Nothing feels like it has soul. Nothing feels like anything. But then right here, there's actual tension immediately in the start of it's kind of funny actually what this whole trailer is kind of about. Like, this guy's constantly evading death. But anyways, but you feel the tension all the time in this trailer. And you're feeling that between the characters, and you're feeling that in the dialogue. You feel like this is a living story. These are living characters. You feel something. This is something that is desperately lacking in pretty much everything that's coming out today. And I don't know if this is the same game as Project Century. I forget what the actual title of that game is, because they did announce it and I totally forget. But maybe this is the same game, and maybe this is the secondary character. Maybe this guy's supposed to be like the Goro to Kiryu, maybe. I don't know. I have no idea what they're doing. Maybe, if both games feel pretty much the same, it's probably the same game. So, I look forward to whatever Project Century is, what it's about. I don't know if this is the same game or not, but this looks like it's going to actually be a worthwhile story, worthwhile characters. It just feels that way. And see that guy right there, the facial expression, the fact that he just shot his boss, that's insane. That is insane, dude. Jeez. It's so crazy that we're seeing that in a trailer, that the fact that he's shaken, one of the goons are shaken by that event happening, kind of a freak accident. That kind of stuff can happen. I don't know how it exactly happened in that scene. I didn't really pay too much close attention to how that mistake happens or whatever. Or maybe, I don't remember if he was the one that shot him or not. Anyways, maybe it was the other guy, but I have no idea. Anyway. Yeah, actually I have some questions about that, but whatever. Anyway, though, that is just another layer of detail, though, where the events of what's happening between the characters actually matters in the scene, right? These guys are not just random NPCs. That guy was holding a gun. I think he shot his boss or not. I don't know. But he's flinching because of that whole moment of what happened and just everything going on in regards to that moment. There's actual tension in that scene. There's actual real human emotions in that scene. It feels like it's alive. It's living, right? And this is something that we don't get anymore in any storytelling. It would just be nowadays modernized. It's a girl boss. She's just kicking everyone's butt. If a guy's dead, no one else cares. Like, everyone's just this soulless, mindless Goyim Zogbot in all of modern storytelling. That's all it is. Nothing has any tension, any kind of immersion. There's no immersion anymore. We have an absolute death of immersion now. Nothing feels like it just matters. Yeah, so that's the trailer, and that's from the Game Awards. Bro, so that's it. That's all we got to see. But bro, holy crap. Like, I love the tonality of the trailer. I love the tonality of the characters, the dialogue. The whole thing is well delivered. It's just what it should. You know, freaking Ichiban and his gay freaking... The dude's a faggot, okay? Ichiban is a fag. Let's just face it. That's who his character is. The writer made a freaking main character a fag. And it's like, who cares about Ichiban? Does Ichiban actually matter? Is he actually some kind of significant person, character, guy, whatever? Main character? No, he's not. He sucks and no one remembers or cares about him. People actually care about Goro and Kiryu. No one cares about Ichiban. That's why in the game, they brought in Kiryu and at some point Goro as well in the series. They had to bring these other characters in to hold up a weaker character. They always do. But this game, I would not expect them to actually bring in Kiryu. It would be kind of cool if like Kiryu somehow, you know, was a cameo. But I know for a fact, right? With a game like this and characters like this in this game, Kiryu coming into this story in any way, at any point in time, he would be coming in as just a cameo, as just a guy showing up, not to hold up a weak character. And that's what's so big about a game like this, story like this, writing like this, characters written like this. It's so important that they're made effectively and efficiently, because these are characters that can actually hold their own and deliver a storyline that is convincing and moving. I forget if this is the same game as Project Century, because everything I've seen out of Project Century as well was really convincing. It has this same kind of tonality and vibe. So, you know, it feels like this world already matters in this game. It feels like the characters and what they're going through actually matters. I'm actually intrigued and interested. And this has not happened for a long time for me, you know. Fag, Ichiban, and his little friendship storyline in Yakuza Like a Dragon. What the frick was that, right? Do I care about these characters? Do I care about the storyline? No. I was so annoyed the whole way throughout. And all these fake friendships that everyone has. And everyone's a loser in the story. It just sucks. It's written like a woman wrote it. And I hate the freaking game so much. I hated the story, I hated the characters, and it turned me off towards the Yakuza series completely. You know, that and some of the other games just didn't have super strong storytelling outside of Yakuza 0. And this game feels like Yakuza 0, so I'm looking forward to it. I actually want to experience this game, play it, whatever. And that's me, you know, that's where I'm sitting at, so... I have a bunch of praises to give to this trailer. There's just a bunch of trailers that are not good anymore. And this is finally one of them. This is actually a good one.